and welcome back to the Sober Connection with me, your host, Abi King. I have a guest interview today, and my guest is a lady who has actually recovered from a cocaine addiction. So we're moving away from an alcohol addiction, although she has given that up as well. So back in 2017, she decided to quit cocaine, and we're going to talk about that today. And then 3 years ago, she actually decided to become sober from alcohol as well. She has since completely transformed her life and is now a wellness coach living in Mexico. And so obviously we'll get down to that and what made those decisions happen for her. But my guest today is Lencha Nastova. So hopefully I've pronounced that right. I'm not sure if I have. But hey, Lencha, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good, Abby. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So we've been trying to catch up for quite a while, so I
Yeah.
really appreciate you jumping on today with me. It's really cool to speak to you finally. So I wondered if we could start off. Usually I start these guest interviews with just a background of I always say life in a nutshell, but obviously we can't do that when we're talking about addiction and where it sort of originated from. But if you could give me sort of a background of how it all started, where your issues with cocaine came up. I know that you weren't necessarily having too many issues with alcohol, but it just kind of was a bit of a gateway drug for you, and the cocaine was the main issue. So I wondered if you could talk us through your whole experience getting into cocaine addiction and then how you got out of it to start with, please.
Yeah. Oh gosh. It's quite a story.
That's
Uh,
good. We love stories.
yeah. For most of my life, I was against drinking and alcohol. Like it just I saw my dad, he drank a lot when we were growing up and stuff like that, and it just wasn't, and he smoked too, so it wasn't something that I really thought would become a part of my life. But it's funny how we kind of live out, um, how do I want to say this? Like generationally, things are passed on,
Mhm.
right? So, given the right situation, I kind of fell into the habit of using and smoking cigarettes. And basically, I started when I was 23 years old. That's the first time that I'd ever tried cocaine. And I really did it because I wanted to fit in. I was working in the bar industry at that time, and I met some girls who were into the party scene, and they really made me feel like I belonged. So it just kind of inevitably happened, and drinking alcohol, of course, was the gateway for me. And it started off as something really fun. I didn't think too much of it. And kind of like smoking cigarettes, you think to yourself like, oh, if I wanted to quit, I totally could. Like I'm not addicted, right? So it took me so long to even come to terms with the fact that I even was an addict. It wasn't until recovery that I actually accepted and was honest about that part of me. But yeah, bringing it back to when I first started using cocaine, it was fun at first, and then I actually was involved with someone at the time, and our relationship was pretty toxic and chaotic as well. So my and I had self-esteem issues, right? I wasn't happy with who I was. And I think that like my issues with myself really mirrored my relationship with this person and also mirrored my relationship with cocaine. I think that I did certain things because I just harbored so much hatred towards myself, and I had low self-worth. So it just kind of turned into this whole thing. And near the end of my addiction, I wasn't using every single day or anything like that. I would describe myself as a functional addict, but just the copious amount that I was using in one night, it's like sometimes I'm surprised that I'm still alive to be sharing my story. Um, so that's kind of like the backstory. And it just turned into this perpetual cycle where I would use, and then I would obviously feel like shit and be filled with so much regret and shame the next day. And then it took me like probably a few weeks to recover. And then you start to feel good. And then, you get that text or that message from someone, you get that like excitement to use again. So I was just caught in that cycle for way too long. I think it took me a few years before I was finally able to get clean.
Right.
And the moment that I was able to actually take that step and just, yeah, reinvent myself and rebuild my life, I actually had a really crazy experience. I had been using pretty much the entire night. And then when I got home, then early the next morning, I was laying in bed and my heart was just pounding so hard. I like couldn't sleep. I just had racing thoughts, just filled with anxiety and shame. And I started to experience a pain in my chest. And near the end of my addiction, every time I used, I thought, oh my God, I think I'm gonna die. Like every time, um, near the end of the night, it was really bad. It was really bad. And this time was a little bit different because that's the first time that I felt that kind of pain in my chest. So I literally thought that I was going to have a heart attack or I was having a heart attack. And I remember just like laying in bed and then um, getting up to put some clothes on to get myself dressed to drive myself to the hospital. And it's funny, I've actually never told this story before, not in this capacity. And it's something that I've wanted to share for a while, but I just haven't done so on my social media. But yeah, I remember that moment and just standing in my kitchen, I had my keys in my hand and I was debating whether or not to get help. And what held me back was just feeling ashamed because I
Hmm.
didn't want anybody to see me like that. And then in that moment, I remember all of a sudden it was just like this something like pushed me. It's like this force like moved through me and was kind of just like, you need to fucking go, right? Like
Yeah.
get yourself some help.
Yeah.
So I was able to leave my place and I got to my car and I obviously should not have been driving, but we all make stupid decisions when we're under the influence, right?
Yeah.
And anyways, so I was driving, it was rush hour traffic, and it was like so busy. I started to get even more anxious and nervous. I didn't make it to the hospital. I was able to make it to this building and I went to the front desk and I was just like, I need an ambulance, right? And I'm just gonna take a sip of water.
Yeah. Yeah. No, take your time.
I
Thank you for
I didn't
sharing.
yeah, I didn't expect to get like right into it so quickly, but it just kind of is like it's like word vomit coming out of my mouth right now. Um, but yeah, and then an ambulance came, and I remember laying in the ambulance. It was like this out of body experience that I had. I remember looking down at myself and just thinking like, holy, this is what what it's done to you, right? And it was like
Mhm.
really hard to face. And I just remember laying in the hospital bed that day and just having like the worst kind of thoughts coming up in my mind, like blaming myself and not wanting to call anybody or talk to anyone, just feeling so ashamed. So I didn't want to like reach out for any help or anyone to see me like that. It was like really the lowest point in my life and in my addiction, actually. And then once I left the hospital, I got a taxi to my car. And then once I got into my car, I just broke down and started crying. And yeah, just like tears started flowing. And I just had this huge moment. And finally, after like a few minutes, when I was able to maintain my composure, I remember putting my keys in the ignition, turning it, and then a song comes on the radio. And I don't know if you know that song by Harry Styles. I think it's called Sign of the Times or something like that.
Absolutely. I know all of Harry Styles' songs. I've got three teenage girls. Yeah.
So in that moment, I heard the lyrics, just stop your crying, it's a sign of the times. We
Yeah.
gotta get away, right? That song.
Yeah.
And what I haven't shared yet, just to give you a bit of context, is in that time, I was debating moving to Vancouver, moving to a different city,
Hmm.
but I hadn't fully committed to that decision. And after I heard that, it was like divine intervention, a big sign from the universe that was just like, you need to get out of here.
Yeah.
So I listened. I was so scared to make the move all by myself, but I got rid of all my furniture. I packed everything that I owned into my little Hyundai Accent hatchback. I got someone to take over the lease to my apartment, and I just left. And it was the scariest thing that I've ever done. It was really hard to work on myself and just be able to recover from that in a city where I didn't know anybody. But I think that's exactly what I needed
Yeah.
to be able to get to where I am today. Like it was such a blessing and just a whole rebirth for me because I met so many amazing people and I connected with different healers that really supported me on my path. I hired a life coach, which is what led me to the work that I'm doing today. So, yeah, as hard as it was, so many blessings came out of that.
Yeah, right. So yay for Harry Styles.
Yeah, yeah, he was a big part of my journey, I guess.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah, I guess that whole kind of moving to somewhere where nobody knows you and you can have a fresh start. I did the same thing. So when I was about 11 months sober. And I was living in small town New Zealand. So I'm from the UK originally, but I was living for 16 years in small town New Zealand where everybody around me drank, and I was trying to quit. And it took me 4 years to quit. And then when I finally had had enough and I made the decision, okay, this is it, I'm going to quit now. And then I went through 11 months of sobriety. Um, it wasn't really, I was still known as Abby that used to drink a shitload kind of thing. That was like my nickname. But then when I left my husband and I moved 2 hours south to a new town, I didn't know anybody at all. And it was all of a sudden, everybody that's met me now in New Plymouth, where I live, nobody's met Drunk Abby. And it's just, it's actually a really cool thing. Like, it could have gone two ways. And I guess the same for you. It could have gone two ways. You could have ended up not knowing anybody and fallen back into the same old habits, but you chose to go along this new path and like choose a healthier path and, you know, have that rebirth. Like you said, it's such a better decision. So yeah, what a cool story. So did you go through so you literally just moved town and then that was it for cocaine? That was it, you were done? Or yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that was it. Yeah, I haven't had it since just before I left actually. I wish I could say that moment that I described to you, or that experience that I shared with you, that was the last time that I used, but that was actually one of the last times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't had it since that day. And I think when you put yourself in a different environment, like it does something to your brain, right? Your brain just knows that there's change, and I feel like it's a lot easier to give yourself that fresh start and just to adapt to the newness that's around you. So I think that I really gave myself I did a really good thing for myself
Yeah.
in doing that. And
Yeah.
that's, I think, one of the big reasons why I've been able to maintain my sobriety from cocaine. And yeah, I think it was just such a positive change for me. It was hard in the moment, of course. I think making a change and adjusting like that can be extremely painful. And I was going through a breakup at that time as well.
Mhm.
But just the like using was not even an option for me at that point. So I think that really supported me.
Yeah, cool, cool. Did you do like did you go to like Narcotics Anonymous or anything like that, or did you just do it all by yourself?
I did go to a few meetings,
Yeah.
yes, and that's actually it was helpful for me in the sense of just kind of helping to relieve some of that shame and just being in community and accepting the addict in me. But in the long term, I didn't continually go to meetings. I kind of went more down a spiritual path with
Yeah.
my sobriety.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So did you do that when you were before or after or when you got to Vancouver?
Yeah, it was after in early recovery. It was actually the life coach that I hired. She actually recommended that I go to a meeting because
Right.
I didn't even have any like it just wasn't on my radar to that AA even existed for
Yeah.
NA. Like I didn't know that it existed because I was just like so blinded to the fact that I even had a serious problem. Like I just kind of thought that once I stopped using, then that was it. Like my work had been done, right?
Yeah.
But of course, you learn
Yeah.
later
It's only just
on.
starting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no,
And then
that's
the real
cool.
work
That's cool.
begins.
I've just had a thought that a question that I was going to ask you, but it's just gone out of my head. But we'll move on. I was going to say the whole, you know, you likening the shame that you felt and not wanting anybody to know. I mean, that's very similar to what I felt and what a lot of people that are giving up booze. That's why so many people don't ask for help, is that shame that's attached to that feeling of, I think, like society, alcohol more than cocaine. You know, cocaine's probably sort of a little bit sort of under the radar. I mean, I know a lot of people use it, but it's not, you don't go to the pub to buy cocaine, you go to the pub to buy alcohol. So with alcohol, it's you know, it's so glorified, and it's just, you know, let's celebrate and let's drink and let's just do all these wonderful things when we're drinking alcohol. But the moment somebody has a drinking problem or acknowledges that they're kind of maybe drinking a bit too much, society just pushes them to one side. And so that sort of shame that comes up from it, people don't ask for help because they're ashamed, because it's become a them problem. It's not a society's problem. Well, it is just, I mean, it's just really shitty. But I guess it's the same for you with cocaine, is that kind of, once you get addicted, then it becomes, well, you're the one with the problem. It's not the fact that, it's been sort of a society where people go to parties and they do cocaine, but as soon as you've got an issue with it, it's your fault, for not being able to handle it. So it's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, it is. And it's really unfortunate too that there's that stigma there. And
Hmm.
I remember, like, even when I first came out with my drug addiction, I just remember being so afraid and scared of people judging me. But it was actually well received by a lot of people. And I think that's what really nurtured my courage to be able to share more openly about my story. And I think nowadays a lot more people are just celebrating those who are, taking those steps to improving their lives and giving up alcohol and or whatever substance they're on. I think it's more celebrated now. But yeah, in the beginning, it was definitely hard for me just because yeah, the shame and peer judgment, it can really hold someone back from
Mm.
just being open and vulnerable, but there's so much power in just allowing yourself to be open and vulnerable. And I think it really starts when you approach people who are safe to you, right? Because
Yeah.
then it's good practice, right? To be able to speak about what you're going through, the internal struggles. And once you just kind of start to do it, then it gets easier over time, just like anything, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, definitely. So when you got to Vancouver, so obviously that was it for cocaine, you were done. So then what was your relationship with alcohol at that point?
Yeah, so at that point, I mean, when I every time I used, I started drinking alcohol first, right?
Hmm.
But then when I got clean, I stopped drinking alcohol for a period, and then I reintroduced it into my life because I didn't see that it was really a big issue for me.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the first time that I kind of questioned my relationship with alcohol was when I got drunk in my room by myself the day before I was going to go to an NA meeting in the morning. So then I wasn't going to go because I was just like, this is so embarrassing. Like, I'm going to this meeting, and yet I got shit-faced by myself the night before, right? But then I was just like, I can't remember my exact self-talk in the moment, but I know that I did make myself go, and I'm glad that I did because just hearing other people's stories and just knowing that doing things like that is kind of a part of the journey,
Hmm.
right? It allowed me to just be more accepting towards my actions. But after that point, I mean, I alcohol just kind of stopped being a part of my life too much. I mean, I drink it on occasion and going out with friends and stuff like that. But to be honest, I never really enjoyed it. I don't think, yeah, I don't think if I had like started using drugs that I would have even like drank alcohol for as long as I did
Right.
because it's not something that I really enjoyed to drink. I just did it because was kind of like a part of the social norm, right? Like everyone does it. So you're kind of conditioned to think that it's okay to drink alcohol.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, my decision to give it up just felt very natural, and I just don't like being hungover. There was no like dramatic rock bottom moment. I just
Yeah.
kind of felt at peace with my decision that that was the last time that I was going to drink. And similar to when I gave up smoking cigarettes, I like remember it was on the drive to Vancouver because on that day, that was when I had my last cigarette too. And I remember looking at the cigarette and I was just like, this is the last smoke that I'm ever going to smoke. And I think me saying it with that level of conviction is what helped to really solidify that promise in myself. And I had the same kind of conviction when I gave up alcohol as well.
Hmm.
So I forget what your question was. I kind of went on rambled for a little bit,
Oh,
but
that's okay. No, I
but that
was
was
just
my
I've
relationship
forgotten
with
what it was
alcohol.
too, to
Yes.
be honest. No, I think I was just yeah, we're just kind of just talking about, obviously you'd gone off that cocaine, and then alcohol sort of, yeah, I mean, you still carried on drinking for a few years after, but it wasn't, I know that you said to me before, it wasn't it was never it was never an issue, and then you just decided it wasn't really fitting in your lifestyle anymore, so that's when you gave it
Yeah.
up, yeah?
Yeah, I think you know, on this journey, we obviously do a lot of like inner work and self-reflection and stuff like that. And I think um once for me personally, I know like when I got clean, I I was in a position where, you know, it was up to me to decide who it is that I wanted to be.
Hmm.
So that like the past 8 years have really been a part of me kind of molding myself into my own vision and getting in touch with my own authentic self. And
Hmm.
I think because of who, like how I built my identity and who I was and how I built my lifestyle too, it just kind of came to a point where alcohol just didn't align
Yeah.
anymore. And you know, I'm okay if other people want to drink around me. Like there's no judgment there, of course. But for me personally, like it just doesn't fit with who I am. And that's why I think it felt very natural for me to walk away from it, because I think like um when things just don't align with who you are as a person, it's more easier to give something up.
Yeah.
That's just my thoughts anyways.
Yeah, yeah, it kind of just naturally falls away because it's
Yeah.
just, yeah, like you said, it doesn't align. Yeah, that's cool. So obviously you when you moved to Vancouver, it was like a fresh start for you. What was it like? So you kind of almost like a binge, like a binge drinker, but with cocaine. So it wasn't all the time, like you said, you were pretty functional. What did that sort of early recovery look like for you? Was it hard? Did you when you made that decision, was it just like, okay, I'm done? Or how was that process for you to actually quit?
Yeah, it was really hard. It was really hard. Just because it messes so much with your brain, so it takes time for you to come back into balance,
Hmm.
right? And for your emotions to like for you to just like feel a little bit better. So it was really hard. I know I spent a lot of time being on my own and a lot of crying. And I spent a lot of time trying to distract myself too. Like I was volunteering at a yoga studio at that time as well. So I was there a lot just to sort of like keep my mind off of the hurt that I was feeling and the rejection that I was feeling and just being away from home.
Yeah.
So it was very difficult to kind of go through that on my own. But like I said, I think that's the way that it was supposed to be. I really just needed that time to be with myself and really learn how to show up for myself too, and just stay present with those emotions. And yeah, again, just learn how to take better care of myself, because at that time I was very codependent as well. Like
Hmm.
the relationship that I was in was very, very toxic, and I over focused on him instead of focusing on myself. And he kind of my entire world kind of revolved around him, which is not healthy at all. So when that relationship ended, it of course forced me to take a deeper look into myself and my own actions, and just be able to heal from that. So I would say it was a very, very hard period of my life. But I think that like the deeper that you go, or exploring the depth of your pain, will lead you to the height of your joy. Because compared to where I am now, I just see it as such a valuable part of my journey. And it also helped me to build that tolerance to be able to hold those big, heavy emotions
Hmm.
and just be able to kind of steady myself through the process. And it's not an overnight thing, of course. It takes time to be able to just kind of build that relationship with your emotions and just learn how to better understand them, because I think that ultimately there are allies on our journey, right? They're there that to serve a purpose, and each emotion is valid. And the more that you're able to just befriend the emotions that your I don't know, your body wants to experience, right? Instead of
Hmm.
repressing them or kind of distracting yourself from them, then they can teach you so much about yourself, and you can gain so much wisdom as well. And you can use them to really propel you towards the life that you want to live, a life that really feels good to wake up to.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's cool. I think yeah, it's definitely one of the things that I when I first gave up drinking, I thought, like you said before, I thought it was just putting the bottle down and that would be it. I'm not a drinker anymore and that's all I had to do. And then slowly, it was that to start with, but then slowly all these questions would come in. And obviously I left my marriage and then moved towns and all of these new emotions started coming up. And just it's very uncomfortable at the start because you're so used to having just numbed it by just drinking or doing whatever to just escape. But yeah, when you actually sort of sit with those feelings and allow them to kind of travel through your body and you process them, and then you can either tell them to fuck off or you can actually sit with them and work with them and make them become something that you need, then it can actually be a really beautiful thing, right? But yeah, but not having that experience for like 30 something years of never having really processed my emotions before, it's just a new thing that I'm learning now. It's crazy.
And that's the
Yeah.
hardest part about sobriety, right? Because yeah, it takes away those buffers
Yeah.
between, you and all the pain that you felt or trauma that you've experienced, right? And being in a place now where you're almost like ready to deal with what's coming up. It can feel very like jarring or unsettling, but there's there's good in that,
Yeah.
right? It's because when you're able to just move through that and again learn how to better support yourself, then you feel so much more empowered to be able to handle whatever other challenges arise on your journey. Like the one thing that I can say is being where I am now, like I have the trust in my body, the confidence, and I feel empowered that I can get through whatever adversity I face without turning to drugs or cocaine or anything that doesn't serve me. Like I have that confidence in myself, and it's really empowering to live your life that way. And I want that for everyone. I think everyone is possible of achieving that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, and but it does, like you said, it does take a while to get used to that idea that you can actually do it by yourself. You don't need those
Absolutely. Yeah.
external distractions to
And
get
not like
through things.
completely by yourself. I should specify like support, like having the support of a community and other people is like massively beneficial. Like I don't
Yeah,
just tough things out on my own. I just mean having the capability of really showing up for myself in that way and asking for support if I need it,
yeah.
right? That's what I mean.
Yeah. So, when you decided to remove alcohol, so we'll go back to that. So obviously it wasn't like a major issue for you, but how do you feel that your life input, like getting rid of alcohol actually impacted your life? Did you suddenly kind of realize that you could move forward better with alcohol out of your life? Is that kind of how it worked?
I think the biggest impact is just feeling more connected to myself. And I think that sobriety is also a very spiritual thing too. I think it kind of clears the noise and allows you to tap into your own intuition and just be able to kind of build that self-reliance and gain that deeper insight into yourself. And yeah, the biggest thing has been like nurturing that connection. Because I know I've heard people say before how the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's connection.
Hmm.
And that's so true. And it of course applies like connection with other people. But I think like the biggest benefit is just having that connection with yourself. And I think that comes from being brave and doing the deeper work and really just getting honest with yourself and being willing to face the hard parts of yourself or the things that you've been unwilling to really confront and being able to move through that. And I know for me, yoga has been a big part of my life, and that's really allowed me to build self-compassion, to restore that connection to my body. So that has been a really big part of my life, and it's really propelled me on my sober journey as well. But yeah, the biggest thing has been just it's really strengthened my connection to myself. And I don't know how else to say it, but it's been a really, really beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's cool. So looking forward, from a few years ago, living in Vancouver, how does your life look now? Obviously, you're in a little bit of a warmer climate.
Yeah. So I should say that I'm not, when I moved to Mexico, I was actually I moved back to Calgary,
Okay.
after living in Vancouver for a few years. So I moved back to Calgary and, I met my partner in Calgary. That's a funny story as well. But basically we moved here during the height of the pandemic when they were starting to implement the vaccine passports, and we just didn't want to be trapped in the country. And the year before, during Christmas time, we actually went to Mexico because their borders were open, and we just really loved the environment, the climate, the people, the culture. So yeah, the days leading up to the decision that they were making about implementing the passports, me and my partner just sort of talked about it, and we were just like, let's go to Mexico, for a few weeks until our tourist visas run up or something like that. And then, we were able to actually get temporary residency here because they had this special program running at the time
Hmm.
for tourists and foreigners. So we were able to get our temporary residency, and we ended up staying. But that was like pretty much the main reason why we left. We just didn't, and things were starting to change in Canada too. Like, during that time, there was a lot of division being created, and, um, yeah, just like relationships falling apart. And it just wasn't a good environment. And I was working at a job that just wasn't fulfilling at all. And, it was kind of life sucking too. So the decision to come here and be in the sunshine and by the beach, like,
No
yeah,
brainer.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it wasn't an easy decision to make because I didn't want to leave my mom and my brother, and, um yeah, it would be like leaving my life behind again. But
Hmm.
I had some fears, obviously, like around finances and things like that. But, and it ended up being the best choice ever, and I'm really happy that we've been able to stay here and just rebuild our lives here.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So what do you do now? So you're a well-being coach. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I would describe myself as a holistic coach and actually a spiritual mentor. Right now, I'm just in the process of starting to promote my own coaching services, but I'm a part-time resilience coach as well with a company in Canada. So I've been doing that.
Hmm.
But prior to, I like most of my clients have been women who are on a sober journey and who have achieved either one or a few months of sobriety, but are really wanting to do the deeper work and just kind of address, sticky patterns that they've been reliving, or just that other stuff that comes up on the journey. So that's what I'm currently doing right now.
Right. Okay. Cool. And how do you find that what you do for others, how has your own sobriety journey and addiction recovery, how do you bring that into what you coach with others?
I think, like, in a one-on-one session, obviously sharing things from my own personal experience has been really, really helpful because I think that a lot of people can relate to me and I can relate to them. So having the conversations and being able to kind of level with them, that's kind of how I bring it into my own coaching services in the sense of like a one-on-one capacity, but also when I talk about the things that I've gone through in my social media posts. And, I think that's what, is that what you mean? Am I answering
Yeah,
your
yeah. I
question
mean,
correctly?
I guess I'm sort of the same. I mean, I'm sort of doing a little bit of coaching too, and my I'm not I'm not just somebody that studied a psychology degree and just sits behind a
Mhm.
desk and will get you to talk about your feelings, and it's actually comes from a place of learned experience that
Yeah,
I've been through it, and so I kind of feel like I can offer a non-judgmental safe space because
right.
anything that my clients tell me, well, there's no judgment because I mean we've all done terrible things when we've been under the influence. So it's it kind of creates that, my openness kind of helps people get rid of that shame that we talked about earlier, and that it enables them to be open with me because I'm open with them. So yeah, I guess that kind of having that your own alcohol recovery or addiction recovery story, you do bring that into your own coaching, because it's not just somebody that studied a textbook and got a degree. It's actually somebody that's been through the journey themselves. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes a difference. And yeah, being able to kind of hold that safe space for people, I think is um, plays such a big role. And them being able to even go just gain that deeper insight into themselves and being willing to share their innermost thoughts or feelings, right? And just being able to open up that in that way. And I think, yeah, having that lived in experience can be so beneficial to
Mm.
being able to support someone and really being able to facilitate transformation in them.
Yeah, that's cool. What are your goals looking like for the future? What are you staying in Mexico for now? And
Yeah, so with that, I guess the main intention is we're looking around to buy some land soon and build our forever home. And we actually fell in love with it's called La Ventana or Sargento. It's like this area that's an hour away from us, and we fell in love with that place. And we can buy land. It's like wherever you are there, there's an ocean view. So our plan is to buy land and build our forever home and just have a place by the ocean. So that's like long-term goals.
yeah, wow, cool.
In terms of like other goals, like for my business, obviously I want to expand and grow in that sense. And I've currently like created my own methodology. It's called the soft method, which is designed and created for women who are in that like messy in between stage where they've mastered being sober, but they're in that space where all the difficult, uncomfortable emotions are coming up, and they're just feeling a little bit unsteady. So I'm excited to be able to guide other women through that process and just yeah, just create that success and be able to support more people along the way.
Yeah, awesome. What would you say to somebody that was kind of maybe I mean, obviously, it's not expertise, but like for me, it was, I got over a massive alcohol addiction. For you, it was cocaine. So what would you do? What would you say to somebody that was kind of maybe feeling that they would need to change? Maybe they're taking, yeah, doing a bit too much cocaine or whatever it is, their drug of choice. What would you say to somebody that might be looking to reach for help?
I think um, what I would say to that person is to work on their belief in themselves that they can do it. I think that's a very foundational piece. And just to understand that the fear will be present and it's okay that the fear is there because it's scary to change and to
Mhm.
envision a different life for yourself. But I think, yeah, just knowing that taking that step for yourself, like the rewards are so great and it's so worth it. And it might take more attempts than one, it probably will, but just to keep trying.
Yeah. Yeah. It's your story pretty much, it was just one attempt. Well, yeah, once, was it, or no?
No.
No.
No, it took me a few years. Yeah, like when I first tried to my the before that I was able to maintain I was able to stay clean for like a month before falling back into that same pattern before it started to get really bad. But yeah, it was many times because the person that I was seeing at the time, he didn't like that I was using. So I would that just like contributed to my change and my like and me wanting to change. But um I think that I needed to go through what I went through to be able to get to that point where I was just so sick of myself and
Yeah.
what I was doing to myself. And I don't know, something in me shifted. And I think that it happens for everyone differently. I don't think it really matters how many attempts it takes. It
Mm.
just that just the one attempt that where it actually sticks, like that's all that matters. And just to
Yeah.
stay focused on that and moving away from and I know it's really hard to do in the moment when you're in it, but moving away from judging yourself and feeling ashamed because that just really perpetuates the cycle and it keeps you in it. And I wish
Yeah.
that I would have learned how to show myself compassion because I think that I probably would have gotten cleaner a lot faster
Yeah.
and have been and would have been able to really make the changes that I wanted a lot quicker. Um, but Yeah, it definitely took me a while to actually like get clean and for it to stick. It wasn't just the one attempt.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. For me, it was yeah, 4 years of trying, and
Yeah.
I could go months without a drink, and then I hadn't worked on the triggers, and so the
Mhm.
most slight inconvenience in my day, and I'd be back to drinking again, and it's
Yeah.
just. But I think it was also like the environment that I was in. Like I said, I was in a small town in New Zealand, and everybody around me drank, and the invites when I stopped drinking, invitations out would obviously dry up, and then I'd get FOMO, and then I'd feel lonely, and then I'll just go and I'll start drinking again just so that I could be around people. But at a certain point, I was like, no, I want my sobriety more than I want to hang out with these people and get drunk. And when I had that mindset shift, that's when I changed, and that's pretty much after that. I had to be a hermit for maybe 4 or 5 months where I just didn't go anywhere. But that was good because then I was hanging out with myself and getting to know myself and learning what I like and who I am as a person. And it's a lot, yeah, that sort of growth, that self awareness started a little bit sooner. So, yeah. But interesting that your toxic partner that you had wasn't like he was enabling you to carry on with your cocaine addiction. That was like he didn't want you doing that. So that's interesting.
We were both toxic. It wasn't just him, and he was an addict too, but just he smoked weed like every single
Right.
day. So, um, yeah,
A very
it
different buzz.
yeah, but I mean like yeah, it's like there's similarities, right? Because
Yeah.
it's addiction is addiction, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, he didn't enable me in the sense where he was like okay with it, but just like the arguments that would come and the shame that I would feel, it like also perpetuated the cycle, right? Because when you like, I think addiction kind of turns you into the worst version of yourself.
Hmm.
And when you drink or you use, you get that like temporary high and that release a little bit and you start to feel a little bit better, right? So it's just like you want to maintain that, but that's obviously not something that you can maintain in that way, right?
Yeah.
But just that quick fix. So I think I don't want to say he was enabling it, but it did like perpetuate the cycle and me like turning to drugs to just be able to kind of like live with myself because there was such a big like inner confliction that I felt because I felt very divided and I had this like idea of who I wanted to be or who I thought I was being, but the reality did not match. And
Right.
I think there's like actually a psych term for this. It's not coming to mind right now, but when we do experience that inner affliction, it just gets so uncomfortable to a point where we have to change. And
Yeah.
I think that's what happened with me. Is just like I'm not happy with who I am, so I need to make these changes for myself.
Yeah, right, right. And no one's going to make the changes for you, right? You've got to do them for yourself. So even if your
Exactly.
partner wanted you to stop until you wanted to stop, that's not going to happen. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It's not, I don't
Going
think it's
back. Oh,
sustainable. Oh no, it's okay. I don't think it's sustainable if you quit for other people.
mm-hmm.
It might work in the short term, but I think what makes it sustainable is if you do it for yourself
Yeah,
and you really uncover why it's worth it for you to do it for yourself too. Like there has to be, I know we probably hear this all the time, but like the why behind why we're doing what we're doing is like so important and it helps to really maintain the changes that we set out um to make for ourselves.
mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So just going back quickly, just to the day when you ended up in hospital, were you okay? Was it a cardiac issue, or what
I
was
was
the
okay.
problem? You were
Yeah,
okay.
I was okay. I was not having a heart attack or anything. I think just because with the cocaine, like now they mix it with fentanyl and speed and all that stuff. So um I think the chest pain that I was experiencing was just because my heart was beating so fast. I don't know. They
Mm.
didn't actually tell me why. They just said that I was okay and that I didn't do any long-term damage to my heart, which I was thankful for. And then
Yeah,
they released me that same day. But um yeah, it was just a scary experience
yeah.
to, yeah.
Definitely. If you're, I mean, I guess if you're already sort of a little bit worried about how much you're using, and then that, I mean, I guess it was probably a blessing in disguise because, it kind of led to you moving to Vancouver and quitting. So,
Yeah,
it's,
it definitely
yeah,
was.
listening to Harry
Yeah, I
Styles.
think.
But
Yeah, yeah, no, it definitely was. And like unfortunately sometimes you do have to have those moments to just kind of snap you out of the trance that you're in, right?
yeah,
Because I think on some level we do have that belief that like it's not going to happen to us, even though sometimes we fear that it will, right? So that was like a very big reality check for me. And I just had this knowing that if I did stay in Calgary, and I just knew that I would continue to do this and it would probably end up with me being dead, unfortunately. So yeah, moving away was definitely what I needed to do. And
yeah,
I am glad that that happened and I received a very big sign that I just like couldn't like not accept, right? It was
yeah.
just like so clear and obvious and in my face. And I was just, I just remember after hearing that, I was just like, okay, I hear you. I hear you. I know I need to leave. I'm going. Like, I don't know who I was talking to, but
Someone was listening.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, what a cool story. And thank you for being brave and sharing that experience, because it's definitely sometimes, like you said, we just need to be shocked into making change sometimes. So that seems like that was your sign. So
Yeah. And
yeah.
I appreciate you creating the space for me to be able to share and talk about that too. So
Oh,
thank
no
you.
problem. No problem. No, no, it's been really, really cool to talk to you, Lencha. It's good to have finally have caught up. I know we had a couple of missed starts, so sick
That's
kids and all that
okay.
kind of stuff. So time differences, but
Yeah.
yeah, but thank you so much for coming on. I've really, really enjoyed our chat. I will grab your contact details and I will put them on the show notes. But if you could just let the listeners know how they can contact you. You're on Instagram, right?
Yes, I'm on Instagram and my handle is Heal with Lencha.
Okay, so that's Lencha. That's cool. I will pop those on the show notes for you. Thank you so much for our chat, and I hope the listeners have enjoyed our conversation, and I will speak to you all sometime soon. So thanks, Lencha.
Thank you, Abby.
All right, take care.
You too.